Hi, I'm here to talk about why I am a Republican. So, today is Election Day 2022, and I voted Republican. And so, a lot of times when I tell people my political affiliation, sometimes they look at me crazy because I'm a black woman. And their question is, why and how is a black woman a part of the Republican Party? Well, let me explain a few things. Okay. Actually, I started out a Democrat. So when I first came of voting age, I did not understand much about politics. So what I did, of course, was I asked people in my family that I thought knew more about politics than I did. And of course, they said vote Democrat because Democrats are for the poor people. So I considered myself to be poor, raised by a single mom who had to work 2 and 3 jobs so she didn't have to be on welfare and until she could get or land a better paying job so that we could have the basics, just the basics. And of course, that is, you know, food on our table, clothes on our backs, a roof over our head. So she did that, and of course, I voted Democrat that first time I voted, and um, and then I began to educate myself. I began to educate myself, and I realized that I really always have been and always have had conservative beliefs. So I've always valued life in the womb. I've always valued marriage the way God defined it. And I say the way God defined it because he's the only one that really can define it because he's the one who made it. So we can try to redefine things if we want to, but he's the one that created that institution. So I valued that, and I knew that the Republican Party was the party that was fighting for or standing up, and their views aligned with my views on those issues. So I realized that I was not a Democrat, that I am, and I'm not even going to say that I am a Republican like that, but my views align more with the Republican Party than they do with the Democratic Party. That's not the only reason. So those are a few reasons that I am a Republican. Also, I began to educate myself more. And I also began to learn more about the Constitution. I even taught it at the high school level for 7 years. And I realized that I appreciate and value principles such as limited government. So the principle of limited government means that government power is limited, which I believe means that the people have more power. And so when the people have more power, there's more freedom. So, of course, that's what I agree with. That's another reason, of course, and that is what we see when you look at the Republican Party platform on their website. You'll see that they are standing for freedom, our rights, freedom for the people. Okay, not necessarily more government control, but more freedom for the people, more economic freedom for the people. All right. Also, my grandfather was a Republican. And of course, now he died in 2018. He was of voting age somewhere around the 1930s, and he voted Republican. Now, many black people in those days were Republican. Why? Because the roots of a party matter. The roots of the Republican Party are anti-slavery. The roots of the Republican Party are, or is, Harriet Tubman. The roots of the Republican Party are people like Frederick Douglass. The roots of the Republican Party are people like Abraham Lincoln and the Emancipation Proclamation, which on paper and legally freed my ancestors from slavery. So that's another reason that I am a Republican. Also, when we talk about the roots of the other major political party, the Democratic Party, we know that the roots of the Democratic Party is slavery. We know that the roots of the Democratic Party is segregation, racial segregation. They're doing that now. The roots of the Democratic Party is the KKK. The roots of the Democratic Party is Margaret Sanger and eugenics. So look that up, and so therefore, and that being said, I know that there's corruption, in our government. There's corruption in both major political parties. There's corruption in the Democratic Party. There's corruption in the Republican Party. But just because I know that there is corruption even at the top of the U.S. government doesn't mean I'm not going to call myself an American. Okay, and I believe that that's because people, that do love this country, and who are proud to call themselves Americans, we still believe that there is hope. We believe that there are people, there's enough of us that we can bring about positive change. And so I believe even that for the Republican Party, that there is a new generation of Republicans. They're young, they're not white, they're people of color. They're people who value freedom. They're people who value honesty and character and God and family values. They value limited government, limited government power so that the people can have more freedom. So for that reason, I am a Republican, and I do not see myself changing parties anytime soon. So I hope you went to vote today, and I know I did, and I voted Republican all up and down the ticket.